Emergency Services Minister Choi launched Bushfire Action Week. Job slashes at Channel 10 after the station's bad performance on the stock market. Thank you for watching.
Also making news, anti-national education protests heat up Hong Kong CBD and 1,700 citizens partake in the historic cross-harbour swim.
This is the Evening News.
Good evening. Emergency Services Minister Choi announced the beginning of the bushfire season, where he launched Bushfire Action Week. Buswell and the Emergency Services Authority addressed media to encourage West Australians to be prepared in case the fire strikes. Alexandra Mollo reports.
As the bushfire season officially started, Emergency Service Minister Choi launched WA's Bushfire Action Week, where people who live in high-risk areas were encouraged to protect themselves and their homes from possible bushfires.
What we know is government has a responsibility to keep community safe, but people in their houses also have a responsibility to do everything they can to keep their homes and their communities, and importantly themselves and their families, safe.
Meanwhile, authorities say this fire season will be challenging because of the lack of rain in the hills over the last years, which has caused dry grounds and lack of moisture in the trees. They also said it's important that everyone in the area takes responsibility by following all preventive steps to prepare their homes and survive the season.
It's critical that everybody does take steps, and it's not just a one-off step. As you heard, it's a 6-year program so far. After 37 years you've seen a bit, and it is frustrating even just driving up this morning to see the lack of preparedness by some people.
Homeowner Jenny Rutherford has taken this very seriously, as she has already prepared her home in case of a fire.
If you're really prepared, you feel more confident within yourself that your property is going to be protected, as well as there's more chance of survival.
Emergency service authorities advise people who live in or around bush areas to protect their families, homes and businesses by preparing a bushfire survival plan. However, to minimise the chances of you or your property being harmed, you can follow these simple steps. Do not pile wood against or near your house. Install a heat radiation shield. Block any gaps under floor spaces, roof or external vents. Create and maintain a minimum 2-meter gap between your house and tree branches. And if you get caught in a fire, you should consider leaving to a safer place immediately. A full guide to prepare, act and survive this bushfire season can be found online in Fire and Emergency Services website. Alexandra Mollo, DHK News.
The state government is planning to demolish 130 properties in Bentley. The measure is part of an urban redevelopment program that aims to build 1,500 new houses and community facilities. WA Housing Minister Terry Redmond said the project will turn Bentley into a vibrant area.
Out with the old and in with the new is the phrase for the Barnett government as Minister for Housing Terry Redmond commenced demolition works on a new Brownlee precinct in Bentley. Aiming to add 1,500 homes to the public housing list by 2018, demolition works commenced in the efforts to begin planning for the new site as soon as possible, with a date for building to commence in 2015.
I'm very excited by the fact that we've got a target here of 1,500 dwellings on a 25-hectare site that hasn't been delivering on that, and quite frankly it looks tired.
With a promise by the state to deliver 20,000 homes by 2020, Redmond was keen to back that commitment and reassure the public that the incumbent government's resolve had not weakened.
The state government, as a AAA credit rating partner, can either partner up with the local government and even with the private sector to deliver on a significant number of properties over a period of time and have a level of built form by our influence that means we can target and meet an affordability target that would not otherwise have been there in a total private sector deal.
Kristian Dwyer, DHK News.
More than 100 jobs are set to go across the nation at Channel 10, with the MEAA speculating 18 jobs will be cut in Perth. The tough decision was made after the television giant received a bad financial report card. Meagan Ullrich has the details.
It is no secret that Channel 10 has been struggling financially, but this announcement has come as a shock to employees. The only program confirmed as safe is daily instalment The Project, with the future of its breakfast show and late-night news program still unknown.
The MEAA says this was a direct breach of a contract the network had set up with its employees last year. It also said that changes to the local news format were likely to impact on small communities.
Andrew Porter, journalism lecturer at Murdoch University, says these job cuts are likely to have a negative impact on the profession of journalism.
Anything that means there's going to be a reduction in the number of journalists doing their job around the country is not a good thing. But we're living in a time where media organisations are trying to work out how to get the best out of the advertising dollar that they can now get, which is not a lot.
Meagan, Ullrich, DHK News.
The state's first foster carer celebration day was held in Kings Park. Premier Colin Barnett and Child Protection Minister Robin McSweeney were present to thank WA's foster carers for their commitment. They said foster carers play an important role in improving the lives of children in care.
You just can't buy that sort of love. You can't pick it off the shelf. You can't give it money. It comes from their heart. And it really is a good story. So today we're having all the foster carers up at Kings Park for lunch to say thank you to them for what they do for our children.
Here's Kristian Dwyer with what's coming up on our new current affairs program, WA Tonight.
Thank you, Ivan. Coming up on tonight's program, how far would you go to stop a fast food giant from moving into your town? And the cost of living debate, how you're coping with it and what's in store for the future. These stories and more after the evening news with Ivan Leung and Anna Godden.
Thanks, Kristian. Remember to stay tuned. News about the traditional media in financial trouble doesn't only apply in Channel 10. In Hong Kong, the Digital Broadcasting Corporation's employees held a protest outside the government headquarters, demanding the authorities to investigate after the alleged leaked audio conversations between two of the station's shareholders was released, prompting further speculation that the station was financially oppressed due to political reasons. Hong Kong correspondent Godden Choi reports.
More than 70,000 citizens gathered together outside the government headquarters on Sunday, urging the government to interfere the DBC crisis, after the organizer played a recording the previous evening, which they claimed recorded off from the meeting of DBC's board of directors. Audiences, scholars and legislators took the stage to express their view. Elsa Leung, associate professor at the Leung University, says the station shutdown is pushing Hong Kongers' voice into minority. President of the DBC, Ever Chang, arrived in the evening. Before heading onto the stage, he visited program host Billy Lau, who started a hunger strike the night before, demanding the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Buswell, to look into the crisis. After that, there's a chance for fellow DJs to express their feelings working at the DBC.
DBC.
That concludes the night of demonstration and the 7-day voluntary broadcast. Ever Chang announced all digital radio channels of the DBC will play music continuously until the communications authorities suspend their license. Citizens Radio took over the plaza immediately after the event for an Occupy movement with nightly broadcasts. Laurent, Choi, DHK News, Hong Kong.
In other demonstrations, the comeback of the anti-national education protest were held in the CBD. Pro-government protesters also shared the same venue. There were minor verbal and physical clashes between both parties, and the police were out in full force to control the situation.
Different sounds encounter each other at the central government office as the police force arranged a venue for the supporters and opposers of implementing moral and national education subject. Apparently, there are more opposers with around 6,000 participants, urging a thorough withdrawal of the subject. On the other side, the organizer of the supporters claimed that there were 2,000 participants. They said they were not pointing at scholarism and thought it is necessary for Hong Kong to implement this subject. There were some conflicts between people with different opinions. Both organizers of the supporters and the opposers think that there are more improvement rooms for the arrangement of the police. The police said they suggested to change the venue of the rally but did not reach a consensus. Laurent, DHK News, Hong Kong.
And finally tonight, the historic Cross Harbour Swim in Hong Kong was held on Sunday with more than 1,700 citizens participating in the competition, the youngest participants being only 12 years old. Queenie Lee has the details.
Hong Kong held the Cross Harbour Swim last Sunday morning, which saw nearly 1,700 people attending this event. Participants gathered at the starting point before 8 o'clock in the morning. The race featured a 1.5-kilometre swim across the harbour from Leung to Saiwan Hall Harbour Park Public Pier. The opening ceremony presided by the Hong Kong Chief Executive Leung. Participants came from all age groups. The youngest participant was a 12-year-old boy who just met the minimum age requirement for the event. Another participant with polio also took the challenge. He successfully swam throughout the journey. The winners of last year managed to stay champions again. Both victors are members of the Hong Kong swimming team. The winner in the women's category, Natasha Tang, finished the race in 17 minutes. Male champion Ling Tingyu was slightly faster with a performance time of 16 minutes. Queenie Lee, DHK News.
And that's how the world looks tonight as DHK News celebrates its 7th anniversary. Thanks for your support over the years.
We'll have updates for you later, and up next is Kristian Dwyer with WA Tonight. Good evening.
Good night.
Thank you, Ivan and Anna. I'm Kristian Dwyer, glad to have you with us. Today sparks a historic moment in the history of DHK News and West Australian journalism, as tonight we launched WA Tonight, bringing you current affairs from the state and beyond.